Today I'm at Larry's house and building a front porch. Larry, tell us what's going to go on today.
Well, we have a retaining wall project here. It's a front porch. It's not a big project, but there's a lot going on, and it's kind of some fun, unique stuff. So what we're going to do is we're going to form the three walls here, three independent walls, and they're just regular stem walls, but one unique feature about them is they're going to have a decorative top on them that matches this precast concrete that we poured a while back. We want to match that onto the top edge of the retaining wall down below. And the way we're going to achieve that is we have this rubber mold here, and you can see this has a pattern. It's called Chiseled, and it makes that pattern when you strip off the form. People use this for all kinds of things. They even use it for kitchen countertops these days. It's reusable. I've used it a bunch of times. It's really neat stuff, and that's kind of a unique feature we got going here. We have the project in multiple phases. We're finishing off the form work over here on that third retaining wall. This middle retaining wall right here is actually ready to pour right now. Pretty soon we're going to fire up the cement mixer over there and start pouring it and fill it up. And then last night we actually poured this third wall over here. And the reason we kind of jumped the gun on pouring this wall is I didn't have enough of this rubber edge mold here to do all three walls at once, so we poured one yesterday. I'm going to strip off this rubber mold off this form because we need to use this rubber mold over on the other side. I'm not going to strip off all the forms right now because we only poured this last night and it hasn't cured enough to like stand on its own. So I'll leave all this other infrastructure in place and just take this edge mold off, and we'll see what it looks like.
The 2x4 braces the rubber edge molding while the concrete is being poured and drying. This provides a solid and straight backing for the flexible edge mold. Screws are used to assure that there are no gaps between the rubber edge mold and the brace, so the concrete will not get in between them during pouring.
Molds off. Looks good. We'll run a screwdriver across the top of this and kind of take that burr off. It's pretty green right now, so we don't need to do much to it. This side will be buried and not seen right here because the stone will be out here, so you'll only see this corner right here. All this stuff will chip off once we take the bottom form on. So we'll leave this bottom form on for probably at least a couple more days till this really hardens up. It's not hurting anything out of it right now, and we don't need to take the forms off, so we'll just let it be out of it. So we actually are building this in two different pours. We already did, down here we did the footing in a separate pour. Now we're gonna put the retaining wall on top of that. The retaining wall, we already stuffed it full of rebar here, so it'll all be tied together. These pieces of angled rebar come out here because that's where the extended, it would look like this where it extends out. So we wanted to put some extra rebar to make this nose that comes out here really tight. We form this just like you would form most retaining walls with John A brackets. In the center we have snap ties. I don't have any loose ones to show you, but there are these guys in here, and they do a couple of things. They make sure that the wall doesn't suck in too close together by these two cones separating the plywood at 6 inches apart. It makes sure you don't suck it in more than 6 inches. And the second thing they do is they have these little tangs on the end here that prevent the wall from splitting out. So they keep the wall from going too close and spreading too far. These John A brackets here clamp on the end of those, and this little cam action by twisting can tighten this tip of the snap tie to push against the plywood form and make sure everything's really solid and tight. And then it allows a whaler, that's this horizontal 2x4, to keep everything in a straight line and stiff and make it a really strong construction, because the concrete has a lot of force pushing out and you need to resist that force through all these. This form right here around the corner, it's actually completed. Just like that one, and it's ready to pour as we speak. So you can see the form, the rubberized form is right here, we attached it with screws to kind of hold it in place. The concrete will actually keep it tight against the form, but we want to make sure it didn't flop over during the pour. Out here we put a 9-inch piece of wood out here to hold up that cantilever portion. It's going to look just like this, only down here. So to hold this up so it doesn't fall down, we put a 9-inch piece of plywood out here, and then we've supported it, gusseted it so it doesn't sag when we put the concrete on top of it, and that's how we made sure we had it level. So this is ready to go. We put a couple vertical pieces of rebar in here to hold it together so these cantilever pieces don't bust. In the end, this is going to have stone all over it. So this thing that looks like it cantilevers out 6 inches will actually only look like it's cantilevering out about 1.5 inches, because the stone will fill up this space here and it won't look like kind of weird like it does today. We actually poured it last night. This is what it looks like when it's done. This top right here will be seen. The idea is that we're going to backfill with gravel all the way in there, all the way up to a few inches below this retaining wall. So these are actually going to function as retaining walls. So in preparation for filling up the gravel that we're retaining, we brought in 10 yards of gravel in here, brought that in and plate compacted it as we rose up in elevation. And then once we're done here, we'll strip the interior forms off, and then we'll use a bobcat and a bucket and just dump over the side here to backfill this gravel all the way up to the elevation of the interior floor. The finished top of this wall we're about to make has to be at the same elevation as the interior of the house. So we got a lot of filling to do. We'll bring in at least another 5 yards to fill it up, and there could be a little bit more. So there'll probably end up being 15 yards of gravel right here alone. Over there in the corner is the ground pounder we use. That thing beats the hell out of the gravel and makes sure we're really solid so it doesn't settle over time. See over there towards the house that the gravel is not quite at the elevation of the interior of the house. And the reason we're down right now is we're going to add in about 3 inches of concrete for a rat slab, which is a rough looking slab of concrete that you don't finish, and just make sure it's level and good and let it go, because no one will ever see it. And then on top of that 3-inch rat slab, we'll have about 1 inch of sand. And then on top of that, we'll have pavers in the field area inside here that those, we don't know the dimensions of those, but they'll probably be, 2.5 or 3 inches or something like that. So that's why the level of this compacted gravel is not quite at the elevation of the interior house.
Larry and Doug continued to work on the last side of the retaining wall, securing the forms to the footing. Doug will continue to finish the forms while Larry mixes the concrete and pours the mix into the form.
Today is 5 shovels to 1 cement.
I have another video that shows how to set up your concrete mixer with a cement and gravel sand mix for the easiest and fastest way to mix, haul, and pour your concrete. Watch how to mix your concrete the easy way at the link provided at the end of this video.
Going in.
In total, the 3 retaining walls used between 1 and 1.25 yards of concrete. I will have a complete cost breakdown for this build, including the labor and materials used at the end of this video. In each concrete batch, Larry is mixing 15 shovels of gravel with 3 shovels of concrete for a 5-to-1 ratio.
far as cost goes, I think this was $28 for 1 yard, and then each bag of the 94-pound bag of Portland cement, I think these were like $18. So we do a 5-bag mix, which means 5 bags of Portland cement mix to 1 yard of concrete, which is just a standard utility mix of concrete for what we're doing.
Vibrating is used to help settle the concrete into the forms. When the concrete initially stops settling into the forms, then move on. If you continue to vibrate the concrete too long in one place, you can run the risk of blowing out the forms. This is especially true on taller walls. Doug is now leveling the concrete and patting it down into the molds and the corner. He makes sure that there is no concrete trap between the rubber mold and the 2x4 that supports its back. Larry is starting the pour on the third wall, while Doug is finishing the second wall. Yeah. The 3 retaining walls are basically finishing. This is the outside view of the retaining wall and what it looks like with the forms still installed. And this is the inside view of those walls. Larry, how did it go today?
It went great. We stripped off that first form that we poured last night, and the results were really good. We're happy about that. And then we poured this middle wall here before lunch. Probably only took about an hour to pour out, and it set up just right, and those results were good. And then while we were at lunch, Doug finished up forming that far wall, and then we poured that up, just finished pouring that out, and that took about an hour also, and so that went all right. Cement mixer performed well. That was about a yard of concrete. We used 5 sacks of cement for that pour. It was a good day, and we're anxious to strip the forms off.
This is the finished retaining wall with all the forms removed after 3 days of drying. The fill gravel has been added. The wall is well formed, and the chiseled stone face to the concrete ledge looks great. Once the 4-inch thick stones are added to the wall and the pavers are installed, this porch will have a beautiful classic stone porch entrance. The total cost for the 30-foot porch retaining wall is about $2,500, $1,500 for the labor, and about $1,000 for materials. Please subscribe and like this video if you'd like to see more. Also click on this next video to see how to mix your concrete the easy way.